Hi, I'm Shelly and this section is the Leader Workshop on Code of Conduct and Speaking Up. Now, the first thing to be aware of in any organisation, usually a Code of Conduct has something about how conflicts have to be managed. In my organisation, it actually says that staff have to have an actual conversation with each other, a robust conversation, in order to clear up differences. Now, the specifics of my organisation says it here. The question you have to ask yourself is, what is the code of conduct in your organisation and what are the requirements when it comes to staff conflict or staff concerns? When staff actually have differences, you need to encourage them to actually have a conversation with the other individual about that, even when they don't want to, even though when they insist they're not going to. The code of conduct often requires that they actually have to. Your mission as a leader is to maintain staff wellbeing, and in order to do that, you know how important trust is. So therefore, it's really important that you get staff to speak up, particularly when it comes to code of conduct matters. When you find out that a staff member of yours actually has had a code of conduct concern, your first port of call is to ensure that they have used any of the methods that the staff have decided they're going to be using in order to address that concern. And if they haven't, your job as a leader is to ensure you practice the conversation with them using the noticed and wondering methods, or using the 3 stand the ground methods, or using the challenging conversation methods to ensure that that staff member actually addresses the code of conduct matter. Here's an example of how you can coach your staff with the noticed and wondering methods. I've noticed that you seem to be speaking in a negative tone and I'm wondering about its purpose. I've noticed some frustration from you lately and an increase in swear words, and I'm wondering if you noticed that you're breaching code of conduct. Or I've noticed that there was something written in the messages and I just wondered if it was for me. Another example, as a leader, you can coach your staff member to go through the 3 stand your ground comments. The first one, for an example, is, are you belittling me? And then if it continues, they can say, you are belittling me, and if it doesn't stop, I'm going to have to report it. And then the third step, if it continues, is, you are belittling me and I'm going to report it now as a code of conduct matter. Coach the person to say, are you meaning to snap at me? And then if it continues, as long as they're coached to say, look, you are snapping at me, and if it continues, I'm going to have to report it as a code of conduct matter, I'd like it to stop. And then if it continues after that point, you just get them to ensure that they say, you are snapping at me now, I'm going to report it as a code of conduct matter. You can also coach your staff member through the 5 steps for a challenging conversation. Remember, here they are, here are the 5 steps for a challenging conversation, and we'll go through an example. Can I speak to you about the email that you sent through? I just want to clarify that we have really clear and strong communication. I need to apologise because I may well have contributed to this by not actually reading the messages as intended. And then coach them through asking the person their perspective and the intention of the email that they sent. Coaching them through listening, really hearing the conversation, and then coaching them through back to the purpose, which is trying to maintain open and clear communication. So these are a step-by-step example of what you can help someone accomplish through an open conversation, even though it's challenging. You are going to practice. You need to get into pairs, and you're going to discuss a current matter with one of your staff members, and you're going to use the coaching methods and pretending that another colleague is them about how you can help them and equip them so that they can actually resolve the concern with the other individual. Your 90 seconds starts now. you've practiced with the individual, make sure that you make a note of the conversation that you have had and document everything. Then within 36 hours, follow up with the individual to make sure that they've actually had that conversation, and if need be, you're going to have to coach them again. So be equipped with this, and then after the coaching and giving it a relative period of time, maybe 2 more days, follow up with an email to check how they're feeling and that it went well, so that you have documented evidence that you have supported that colleague to resolve their differences. Now, your mission as a leader is to ensure that situations actually get resolved and in fact don't remain unresolved. If there are situations that are unresolved and continue to be after you have offered support, you must report it to your workplace manager. Occasionally as leaders you will hear staff actually say, haven't you done anything about Jill? Or no one's done anything about Jill, she's still doing this. Your first question is, have you spoken to Jill about that? And that's the point where you step in and work them through examples of how they could actually have that conversation if it is something that's upsetting and affecting them. The main takeaways here as leaders is to encourage staff to speak up, resolve issues and report concerns. But your other takeaway as a leader is you need to document everything and make sure that you don't leave things and you just follow up on everything. Now in pairs you're about to have 90 seconds where you will be discussing if there's any current issues that really need to be resolved, for you to discuss what you can do in order to help staff resolve those concerns. If it is something old, however, it's in the past, and I mean at least a month old or if longer, we leave those in the past. It's only anything that's current in the last couple of days or the last week, that is actually what we're talking about. So your 90 seconds to discuss what methods you could use to help resolve any current outstanding matters start now. When staff actually have concerns, you as a leader need to discern, is it a code of conduct thing at all, or is it just their job and what they're expected to do? You're going to have to manage that, and obviously things are just about their job and what they're expected to do. Obviously that is not something you step in for a code of conduct matter. The hardest part about being a leader is that you may need to actually change what you do and your behaviours in order to have a better outcome. So congratulations to you for considering what you can do in order to have a better outcome for staff wellbeing for your whole staff. And that concludes the Code of Conduct workshop and the Speaking Up component.